Unmuting over to the hosting scene. Hey, Spessy, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'm alright, thanks. Still feeling quite hungover, to be honest. My room's a bit of a mess, but I think this is the last series of the day, so I can start actually getting my life sorted and put together. But we've still got some more Gwent to enjoy.
Yeah, we got
Um,
PrimeVillain versus PBLead here, and I guess we'll just hop over to the deck lists. PrimeVillain bring in Jackpot, Flurry, and Pincer Maneuver. Let's see. Not seeing anything out of the ordinary from Jackpot. Single tax collector, letting you down a bit.
I know, casino bouncers. It's not for me.
Reckless
Like,
Flurry with Gremist
ah,
instead of the Gerd.
I guess he's trying to target cloggers of this, but like you can just play Moonduster if you want to do that. But I mean, like obviously Moondusting a defender's pretty bad compared to a Grimace, but playing Grimace with no alchemy cards. At that point, I'd almost rather just play a Pella, to be completely honest with you. So I don't love the Grimace. I can understand why it's there, but it doesn't feel like while the concept behind the card is there, I'm not sure it's actually the perfect way of getting a Purify in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to like it a little more than playing a Peller. It trades card for card a little better with Defender. You're playing a 6 instead of a 4 into the Defender
Hmm.
round, which could matter, especially if they go like full test next. You start falling behind on tempo pretty quick.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then lastly, Pincer Maneuver, Siege full test, Marg for a lock. Playing a Siege Tower in the 5 provision slot there. Only a single bombardment and a single ballista. The newly buffed Cursed Knight slotting in there
Yeah,
as well. Able to
yeah.
transform
I
some.
think Curse Knight's a great card. I think to have as a one-off in like a tournament. There hasn't been that much Nilfgaard, but like there's a lot of locks flying around. Not locks aren't gonna be that relevant. It's the poisons, right? Jackpot, Nilfgaard. Also, the key thing is Joachim as well. If you're expecting Masquerade Ball decks, Curse Knight the Joachim. I was playing a Curse Knight at 5p when it was like the Chinese meta breaker meta where everyone was just playing Quad Joachim, which was trigger Masquerade Ball because that
Hmm.
first Curse Knight on Joachim was just devastating against that deck. I really love this card. Do you know what? I've said for years this card should be 4 provisions and just like nerf its power. Because it's that kind of a card you can
Yeah.
just include as a one-off in certain metas, and obviously, as they've just made the bronze cards slowly better, I'm really glad to see Curse Knight at 4 provisions. It's a really cool card, nice option off Assault as well. Um, just a solid card, I think.
Yeah. Faction and Artex are really cool with Amphibious Assault, just opening those options. Like other factions get a Neuromancy for Squirrel with a Amphibious Assault. You get to play those for even more tempo. Just having that option in your deck is pretty nice. Next up, we got PBLead, who is bringing White Frost, Jackpot, and Inspired Zeal. What is going on in this White Frost deck, Spessy?
So it's gone Devotion, which obviously makes a ton of sense with Oberon, with the Conquerors. You also get the Thrive on the Winter Queen as well, which is pretty relevant. And Unseen Elder is also just a very good card, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the build. The fact that he's got a Defender is something. When I played my own version, Defender was one of the cards I wanted to put in because you've got the Eridin, the Unseen Elder, which you want to protect, the Phantom as well. But also like um, the Oberon can be so many points, but double Foglet. It's got a Witch Apprentice. It's kind of the top end I like. The lower end I'm not as convinced by. And one Wild Hunt Hound seems questionable. And Ardgaith. What are your thoughts on Ardgaith?
I think I like it. I'm not entirely sure. I've jumped around back and forth on it. I was playing a list that had Ardgith and Avalok, and it felt like a bit too much Frost. But I think if you're not playing Avalok, he has the Red Riders, which is sort of also a lot of Frost, but at least it's not a gold card, and he can mulligan it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're playing the Ardgith, you probably don't want the Red Riders. I'll at least go that far. Though I think if you're playing Ancient
Yeah.
Foggle, you definitely want Ardgith in your deck.
Yeah, I think like in the Devotion version where you don't get the Vader with the Scepter, I think the Ardgaith makes a lot of sense because you can tutor it with Gales as well. Like in the non-Devotion ones, I think it's really difficult to justify it over Red Riders. Like I felt like I had enough Frost anyway with just Red Riders Vader, and I do think the Vader's great. But definitely in the devotion one, I think the fact you can shoot it with Gales makes it a lot better because you do want Frost in both rounds. You've got the double bruiser in there as well. So yeah, I think honestly I can get behind it. And with the Foglets, it is a lot of points. As I say, like with I was talking to you earlier about my non-devotion version. I'm just playing one Foglet. So it's definitely a big payoff to play the Argate with the double Foglet. Honestly, just I think one Hound is probably the thing that sticks out to me as like the weirdest decision. Um,
I feel like
you'll note these decks
the
really
Red
difficult
Riders
to
is more
polarize
weird
as
to
well.
me than the Hounds.
Yeah,
Yeah, like at least with the Hounds, you can say that it's just a filler card. It's a Wild Hunt unit. You want to try it out with the new White Frost, but like it's not reliably good in some matchups. You're gonna want to mulligan it because you just don't get dominance reliably. In some matchups, it's good. But the Red Riders, I don't know when you want that Red Riders.
yeah. I guess it's just round one. Like if you don't have the Argate, you can thin the Winter Queen with it and stuff. But it's
True.
definitely not the best. Also, like the Frost with the Nalgafar's crew. Like if you don't have the Argate, I guess it's probably just there if you don't have it. But it is a good
Yeah, that's
card.
fair.
But you definitely do start to compete. I think if you're bothering with Argate, it does make sense not to bother with it. It'll be interesting to see how. Looking forward to seeing this. I hope it doesn't get banned. That'll be devastating.
It is not. Both syndicates were banned, so we can kind of skip
Okay.
over this jackpot. And game invites have gone out. If you want to
Okay.
quickly talk about this inspired Zeal deck while we're waiting. He is playing Dandelion, which is something we saw a lot of at the beginning of last season, but sort of fell out of favor as these lists got refined. Lots of carryover potential in that Dandelion. By Crystal Sculling it up, it can be pretty tough to answer. 2 points every other turn. Winch as well can reset the cooldown to give you an additional 2 carryover. But it does kind of just get passed on. It does get heat waved. It does cost 9 provisions, so even if you're getting a good amount of carryover out of it, you're spending a gold card in round 1, which you might not want to be doing. Provisions sort of are carryover. Playing the newly buffed War Chariot.
Well,
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing that. I've not played it myself yet, actually.
Same.
But looking forward to seeing it in action. It's definitely a card I'm going to experiment with in the coming days. So again, with the Winch, I really like the Winch. It's a card Aluha was using a lot with success. He was playing Dandelion when he qualified for Open 3 from the top 16. He wasn't playing it in Open, but still had this Winch with the Foltest Pride. And I think War Chariot is just like an improvement on Foltest Pride. Gives you that bit of movement. Still has the City Guard, which is kind of weird. Obviously, Colgrim's still just going to be a real struggle for PB, though, to get through with this White Frost, as we saw against Gravesh. We caught the end of that game.
Yeah, I hope this White Frost deck looks good for at least a game. I would love to see this deck win.
It's playing cool lineups from both players. I'm glad the Syndicate decks have been banned as well, so we can sort of see the more exciting things.
Yeah, a bit of a newer take on NR, taking advantage of the new War Chariots, and then a completely new take on White Frost that just wasn't possible before this patch, using the new passive on the leader ability to its fullest, rewarding you for playing a bunch of Wild Hunt units. Definitely looking forward to this series.
The buff to Kikimor Warrior, or Kikimor Worker as well, is great. I actually milled this card. I have a bit of a thing where if I play a card in my deck that chat baits me into playing, and it's terrible, I mill it. When it was 5 provisions, somebody told me to play it, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see it. And it just lost me a game, and I was like, nope, milling it, never playing it again. So see it at 4P is really cool. It's kind of like a perfect 4P card. It's just like a worse version of the Conqueror. Obviously, Conqueror has that Veil, whereas this, all it takes is 4 damage, and it's gone. But I really love this card. It's like the Disgraced Brawler, I think it's called, in SK.
I've played it an embarrassing amount at 5P.
Really?
Yeah. Like, almost every time I put a Gurney deck together, it ends up in there. It triggers Thrive so well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely much better at 4P. Card's super real at 4P. And we are into game number 1. White Frost against Pinsir. We got the Spice lined up for our first game here. With PrimeVillain on blue coin with his NR deck. PBLead gonna be looking to apply some pressure with some Frost. The new White Frost works really well with Naglfar's crew. If you're not familiar with the interaction, when you play Naglfar's crew and you apply Frost the opposite row, you do get your White Frost buff immediately. So Naglfar's crew just deploys with 3 and 1 armor, while applying 2 rows of Frost to the enemy row.
One card we skipped past when we talked about PB's White Frost deck is this Caranthir. Caranthir is a bit of a weird one. It does get an extra point because of the Wild Hunt tag, but you don't exactly have the best options. You can Cranthea the Oberon in round 3 is like an engine, but it's very slow to
Unseen
start.
Elder is probably
And yeah,
the big target. It's not terrible.
doesn't
It's 2 points a turn, but
it's not terrible. I think Monsters just has a bit of an issue of like having like the high-end gold cards. That's
definitely.
where like the non-devotion version comes in, where you can play things like Sunset Wanderers that just sort of fill that gap. You do
Not in
lose
this
a lot on.
tournament.
Yeah, true. That's very, very true. Um, yeah, I do like the build. The Ardgaith in the opening hand is going to be very, very nice as well for him.
Yeah, that's when you want to see it. When you get to play Ardgith in both rounds, the card is real efficient. Like, it's 12 points both times down. You're paying 8 provisions for your Echo card, so it's sort of like you're paying 6 provisions per time you use it. Getting 12 for 6 is where you want to be, especially when there is some extra synergy built in by boosting up all of your Wild Hunts for each Frost.
How does the Riders interaction work? Could PB go for the Riders here, buffing it to 5, and then would that count dominance, or would that
It
not work?
shouldn't. I'm pretty sure the leader ability happens after ranged row deploys, but it would be on that same level. So it goes your melee row deploys, your opponent's melee. Wait, no, because it's a deploy, right? So it's not a enters trigger. So yeah, Voltus would just be on the White Frost would just be on a different layer than the or a different timing window.
And while there's no heat wave in this devotion deck, there is some movement. Moving Foltest to that front row, definitely making things a bit awkward. However, Foltest's ability will still trigger if you can find another way to boost these dumb banners. So the Marine on the dumb banners, it will still be spawning more dumb banners. So while Foltest has been moved, it definitely doesn't decide PrimeVillain to go for that and takes the pass instead.
Yeah, no siege ladder in deck for PrimeVillain. Just gives over round control to the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, really nice opening round. You see the value of the Nalgafaz crew turning at 7 points there, with not forgetting it puts down some weather, synergizing with the Ardgate. The Winter Queen as well got buffed, thinning the Riders. Very, very nice opening round for Wild Hunt here.
For sure, for sure, for sure. And look at all these golds! The only bronzes in his hand are a Taskmaster and a Bruiser. Kick Ardgith, draw Red Riders. There's an Ancient Foglet. That's another potential Corinthia target.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried a deck a couple seasons ago where I had like Mega Scopes on Foglets. I had the Caranthea, the Adaran, and then I played like the Scepter. I went for the Vader, expecting them all to get buffed by 6, and nothing happened. And then I deleted the deck.
Let's see what PBLead decides to do here. He's got a Cave Troll that can set up for Corinthian Elders.
And unlike PB's Northern Realms deck, which we don't see here, PrimeVillain doesn't have the War Chariot or the City Guard, and therefore just doesn't really have an answer to the Defender apart from to just damage through it.
Yep. There's the Siege. So Defender for Siege, already a pretty good trade for the Monsters player. Wondering if he thinks he needs to continue or if that is good enough.
I guess one other thing about the Red Riders as well is it just gives you that extra card for Gales to pull, so you're not going to be bricking your Gales. You can, of course, play Imlerith's Wrath. It's a real shame, actually, that Imlerith is still so bad. Doesn't have the Sabbath tag either. I would love to see that card get a rework, because I love the synergy it has with Wrath. It kind of turns it into a heat wave. You can't use it on artifacts, but card is just not quite good enough, even with the extra point you get from Wild Hunt. It just doesn't really synergize with anything else. That would kind of be my top priority change, actually. If I could like suggest one rework for the next patch, that would probably be the card I'd go for. Does take the pass.
There we go, we're going into round 3. PrimeVillain plays a Bannered Student, gets it in the graveyard for his Shani. Gets the Patience up to 2. Playing another card just to... Does a pseudo mulligan? Is there a reason to do that in NR? He's not going to see any random cards in round 3, right?
Might just want to get the patience on the Bannard.
No, true, true.
Um, he has only the Royal Guard in the graveyard at the moment and dumb banners, so gets the Marine in there as well. Just gives him a backup option on his Shani, but yeah, maybe just a little bit overzealous with the Sieger. Could have maybe tried to play the Siege once PB was at 6 cards, so that PB just doesn't have the option to pass. I think PB is going to be really happy with that trade. While his Defender is good, getting rid of the Siege is probably just your top priority. And lots of good cards in the top decks for PB with the Ancient Foglets, of course, synergizing with Ardgaith. The Oberon just goes straight to that third evolution as well. This card is going to be incredible if it's not answered. So many points.
Yep. So, not a lot of golds left for our pincer maneuver friend here. Earhart, Shawnee, Voltus Pride, Amphibious Assault, Dahlia is just like a bronze +3. Looking over at this monster's hand, there's double Ancient Foglets. We still got that second Ardgith to buff up those Ancient Foglets. Leader charges to punish anything potentially row-locked. We can break up the crew pockets on the Foltest Pride. We got Bruisers for additional movement. We've still got Corinthier Unseen Elder, though that's probably not that great. All that said, I guess maybe these Ballistas just run away with it. There's not good answers. Ugh.
Yeah, this is Adalia is just showing why she's still so good, especially with the pincer where you have still the luxury of just kicking the second ballista if you don't want it. I think in this situation, it's gonna be doing really well, and I think this is again just an example of as good as this Devotion White Frost deck looks. It's just too wholesome. You don't have the control, you don't have punish, and you're not that greedy yourself. So wholesome decks can have a bit of a struggle. And PrimeVillain letting PB know he's not impressed by the rope situation. Emote maybe gets in PB's head because PB just straight away slaps the card after the emote comes in. The Foglet in the front row, moving the Ballista to start working towards killing this with some frost damage.
Yes, Frost will slowly bring it down. It's got 5, so it's going to take 3 turns of Raw Frost or Naglfar into Eridan for a turn to make it 2. If you go... You are just going to get this other Ancient Foglet down. Because I'm thinking if you go Giels into Ardgith to make it so that you have only 2 golds in deck to guarantee that you get the Eridan. But you want to play the Eridan the following turn, which means you're delaying your Ancient Foglet more? Maybe that's what you want to do. Does it even matter? Now there's 3 units in the melee row.
The Shani play as well, a little bit controversial because the Bannard student is locked to the front row, and of course the leader, White Frost, is going to be moving that, I'm sure, to the back row. And that's also just going to mean that Scales gets a +1, but Oberon probably going to be the priority card for PB as well, just to try and get that stuck on the board. Of course, it's going to be giving +1 to every Wild Hunt card. So if there's Frost in the opposite row and an Oberon on the board, each Wild Hunt card you play is +2 from what it is in the deck building, and that is a lot of points. But here comes Corinthier, first of all, which is quite okay, alright. Okay. Corinthier on the Foglet comes in.
Just gonna have a bunch of Ancient Foglets. I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's at 3. It's not the easiest thing to kill. Not the hardest thing to kill, but... It's what, the Voltus Pride and then Ballista Ping? Okay, it is pretty easy to kill, but...
Yeah.
Also, this works. Yeah, okay.
I was very, very worried that we were going to see Margarita on a Veiled Guard just there. I thought he hovered over it. Wasn't to be. PrimeVillain looks to be in a great spot with 2 engines set up. PB, he's delayed his Oberon. The Unseen Elder's just waiting as well. He just cannot answer these 2 Ballistas. And they're putting in an awful lot of work. This is another thing, right, about Devotion monsters. You don't have a lock. It's pretty terrible stuff.
Don't have a lock. You're not great on targeted damage. Your targeted damage effects pretty much cap out at 4 unless you go to Crohn's. or play Imler's Wrath in your deck that's usually not going super tall. He's got another Ancient Foglet in hand that he probably wants to get down before the Ardgith. This one deploys at 5. There's 2 Ballistas in play, threatening 2 damage by themselves. Oh, just goes for the Oberon here. Taking advantage of that last turn of Frost in the range draw, probably. Gotta imagine this is Conqueror. Don't think you would expect Wild Hunt Hound to be very long for the world. Navigator.
Okay, so going for the Navigator to keep that Oberon alive, and obviously we see the power of the Oberon in round 3, combined with the White Frost the ability, already playing for 14 points, and threatening an engine still. But for PB, doesn't have any Frost down on the board yet, so this Gales is likely just going to be going for the Ardghaith. Doesn't mean Gales is going to miss out on 1 point because there is no Frost yet available, but triple Ballista for PrimeVillain.
So many pings. There's the Hubert. 3 damage a turn. Gonna have... Let's see, the Banished Student's still gotta come down. That's gonna be a little bit more damage. The Voltus Pride's gonna deal a bit more damage. He's got 2 Pincer Charges that can get Bombardment. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total Siege Engines. Gonna be a 9-point Bombardment. Maybe he trades away with his Bannered Student rather than playing it. Looking pretty good for PrimeVillain. Though PB still got some power cards of his own. Still has that Ardgith to play. Still has that Unseen Elder sitting in his hand. Could potentially bleed some of these Ballistas down and kill them somewhat quick. Play Elder, bleed the 4, have random bleed go on something. Ticks immediately, then goes to 2. Opponent's probably not immediately killing the Elder, so the Ballista dies in a couple turns. Leaves a 3 instead. So this way, if the Elder doesn't die, this 3-point Ballista only gets to ping 1 more time.
Mm-hmm.
But, looks like we're just gonna kill the Elder.
And that's what the oil just does so well in this deck as well with the resupply. The Ballistas are just such a menace. Certainly deserve their nerf. I think it was quite a well-handled one, but they're still just great cards.
Just getting both of them now.
Yeah.
He knows he wants them.
Cleans up the Unseen Elder. Threatening as well, just 1 ping away from the Oberon.
So much damage.
PB, fairness, he's still within range, and the Oberon is going to be boosting at least one of his cards here. Has the Phantom, I believe, off of... He has Eredin, in fact, off of Nalgafart. Both Eredin and Phantom. But in order to guarantee the Eredin, he is going to need to play the Ardghaith, which he mulliganed with Gales first. Otherwise, it's not nailed on. And yeah, the Purify, not doing much in his hand here, that's for sure. It's just going to be a 6-point card if there's Frost on the board. High rolls the Eredin. This could have backfired, but... In fact, wants
doesn't
the
even
Phantom.
want the Eredin, just wants the Phantom. Whoa. Okay, what is this doing?
Not sure. Not sure on this one.
Killing the Shani? Really doesn't want that to go off again?
Yeah.
It's in the graveyard? Oh, there's a Karak Marine there? Okay. I guess that's a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
But here come the Ballista
just
pings.
continue to ping. 1 is finally going to be dead thanks to the bleeding from the Unseen Elder.
Not even trying to go after this Ancient Foglet. Just knows he has the Baron.
Never mind. This Ballista's still here.
Oh, yeah.
The Bannard Student being very, very patient in the back row as well. I fear he's going to be too patient in this situation. There's no Siege Adder available. Here comes the Gales. Shouldn't be buffing himself because, of course, he's playing as a deploy, and then he's going to play the Ardghaith. But that Foglet's now at 13 points. This other Foglet is going to want to come in soon as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to run out of Frost Valley for the final Wild Hunt card here as well, so not going to be getting maximum value off it. You can certainly see why he's got the Ardghaith in this deck. But this is kind of my experience of playing 2 Ancient Foglets. They do kind of compete quite a bit, and with the Wild Hunt cards as well, you've got Frost. They sort of compete for the Frost value too. So you do have diminishing returns on the Foglets, and Again, the Caranthir just didn't really help PB in this situation either, because it just kind of just took away, again, from the Foglet that was already in hand.
Yeah, like on one hand, you want to play multiple Ancient Foglets because you want to give your like overload your opponent's tar removal, and just playing one is sort of the only thing in your deck that's really playing into tar removal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing multiple, again, you do have this awkward sequencing comes up where you just played an 8-point Ancient Foglet. Like your opponent doesn't even care about tar removing that one. The only one that matters is the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially because the Wild Hunt cards are now getting that point as well from the Frost. You also want to get those down while Frost is still around too, so can prove to be a little bit awkward. PB here, 3 cards left in hand. They're 3 bronzes. Of course, with the Frost, they're all +1. He's only going to get +1 on a single one of these. You would imagine, of course, he's therefore going to go for the Bruiser to get the 2 damage available from that as well, while Weather is on the board. But this has been a round of the Ballistas.
So much value on these. Still another bombardment to come. We'll reset those pings and deal damage for every siege engine. 4 of those on the board. Bombardment effectively playing for 11. Bruiser moves that Fultus Pride out of the pocket. Still able to kill that Ancient Foglet, though. Does not require a pocket to deal damage.
You can certainly see why PrimeVillain was just happy to slam the siege, because it secured the long round still, and just fancied his chances in this long round 3 with so many ballistas. I suppose PB's best line, on reflection, was trying to be more aggressive in round 1. To try and win that round 1 on even. It didn't happen for him. And kind of snookered himself going into this long round. Of course, didn't want to play into a Siege Amphibious Assault, who can blame him? It was the first assault, so bleeding just did not look appealing. So, seems like round 1 could have been the option.
Here it is.
Look at the teleportation! The patience.
That's one way to build a siege ladder. Just teleport it back to the rogue. Gonna deal 11 damage. PBLead has had enough.
I want to see this. Merlin! What a boy. I love this from PrimeVillain, letting him know who's boss. Oh, the forfeit PB. He doesn't want to be embarrassed in this last little bit. He was not impressed. PrimeVillain getting in the head. The mind games have begun.
So much value. That board was gonna be empty. That is
Actually,
what Siege does best.
Casted one time with Green Knight PB in the Gwent Partners Open, and surprise, surprise, the tournament platform had a bit of a bug, so we had to watch it from PB's stream, and he lost because his opponent, he had an Oil or Selkirk or something. I think it was Selkirk in hand as his last card, and his opponent just had one card with a shield down on it, so the Selkirk just wouldn't work, and he lost. And oh my goodness, he raged so hard. It was my favorite thing. Poor PB. He was slamming the table. It's one of my favorite clips from my channel.
Well, with the pincer maneuver through, PrimeVillain's got Reckless Flurry that's got to beat either this Wild Hunt deck we just saw or Inspired Zeal. What are we queuing into here? We got Flurry up against Inspired Zeal, so switching away from Wild Hunt for the other coin. PrimeVillain with the classic double portal target hand.
No Maddock just yet, though, at least. So we'll hope to not see that. No
Also
Maddock in hand, which
bear
is always
witches.
nice.
You
Yeah,
don't really
these
want
bear
both your
witches
bear
do.
witches.
Yeah.
That can be a bit of a mulligan nightmare, and especially on red coin when you only get 2 of them.
Certainly looking forward to seeing the War Chariot in action. There's also the City Guard. Movement, not going to be particularly relevant, but of course if you can get the cooldown on the War Chariot and a crew pocket as well, you can move and bleed every so often, which is going to be nice. It also has a Zeal now. It's an order. Previously, I do believe it was a deploy, so you could have this down on the board now and then get a soldier down next to it the next turn and then use it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Ooh, here we go. Amphibious
Yeah.
Assault into Dandelion. That's aggressive.
So the top card on the deck is a Cursed Knight as well. The Cursed Knight has been buffed. So
Yeah.
PB has that intel as well. You can look into his deck and you'll see the Cursed Knight's been buffed.
Yep.
Isn't playing an Envoy though. I would definitely like to see an Envoy combining with the Poet, with the Dandelion here, to try and put a specific card on top. The leader charges. PrimeVillain not interested in letting Dandelion stick around, and despite not having Portal, threatening here to win on even.
Yeah, I mean, 2 leader charges down. That's a form of carryover. Dandelion might not be getting his ability to resolve, but forcing out some charges there means those charges won't be available for later. Here's Marg to deal with that Matic as we go back over to PrimeVillain. Few bombs in his hand that no longer really get great value. Bear Witchers can't be played yet. No Mega Scope target. Kinda clunky. Kinda clunky. 4 and 3-point bombs. Ugh.
For PB as well, he knows that 4 damage is going to be something quite common. He would like to get his Bannard students stuck on the board for some carryover maybe. Of course, with his Inspired Zeal ability, he's going to be able to just play that with Shani later on and give it the Zeal. But he needs a Royal Guard really to stick in order to do that. So taking the lock on the Madoc in the back row, just allowing him to back row the Royal Guard, I would imagine now. While it probably will get answered, you just definitely don't want to be playing it into the Madoc.
Yeah, PrimeVillain with the aggressive move here decides to play the Smallblood Totem, committing that into the round 11-6, and PBLead's got to worry about losing on even here. Still 4 more points effectively on the board by clicking onto that totem. Pretty bronze-heavy hand as well for PB. Has access to that Selkirk that can combine with Leader Charge to maybe try to keep the Megascopes in check, but just gonna go with the Karak Marine. Boost Marg up to 10. Still effectively behind, but Casting Contest will now play for 9 on the Karak Marine if a bomb doesn't take it out. Wouldn't be too surprised to see PrimeVillain decide to kill this Karak Marine, knowing that both Casting Contest is in the list, and 3 damage doesn't answer a whole lot of things from this NR deck.
Yeah, and for PB, he's just got a handful of engines that start at 4.
Mm-hmm.
The Bannard, the Royal Guard, okay, it's not an engine, but it can protect an engine, and the City Guard all dying to 4 removal. I have to say, the City Guard is a card I love. I think it's great to have in Northern Realms decks with the duels, so you get answers, but if you're playing the War Chariot, I'm not sure the City Guard still has a place in it. There is the Casting Contest floating the damage. Of course, Kiamar just not a threat in this round number 1 here.
Yep.
Floating the boost, rather.
PrimeVillain using that Megascope only on 6 points. One of the worst Megascopes that you see from this Reckless Flurry deck. Deck plays a lot of ways to get value on that, from the Bear Witcher Adepts from Portal, the regular Bear Witchers, and the Great Swords as well, obviously being the ideal target. Currently down 3 points, but not really. Basically up 3 as this Megascope is going to be resolving. Here we just see a bomb come down. Megascope resolves 21-14. Gonna be using that Karak Marine to protect that Bannard student. 22-21 actually ahead here. No more hidden points on PrimeVillain's board. But still got some bombs he wants to get rid of. And now Bear Witchers are online. Doesn't really want to play both of them, as you would want to save one of these for Quen later on, but playing one is pretty cheap.
Yeah, actually doesn't have any Witches left in his deck apart from the Fish Flappers and the Quen. With this Gremist instead of Gerd as well, and obviously Junod in hand too. So definitely one of these Bear Witches he's going to want to hold on to, or at the very least hold on to the Junod. And Patience 2 now available on the banner. We do see the War Chariot. No crew pocket enabled though. It's got a cooldown of 3.
Yeah, I mean, if the movement's not relevant, you don't even really need the crew. It's not like the crew is making the cooldown shorter.
Big leader charge, it misses.
Yeah. That definitely happens. Does set up the War Chariot to get Junotted, I suppose, but we're definitely looking to take out that student with the leader charge. Full leader committed for PrimeVillain in round 1. Really wanting to win this uneven. 25-17. And PB with Selkirk and a bunch of bronzes. Godkadak technically a gold, but only playing for 6 points in this matchup.
It's just an elder bear.
It's just an elder bear. Here's Selkirk. Trying to fight over the round a little bit more. 19-24.
Use the patience as well. This means this is 4 points of damage essentially on the Bear Witcher now.
Mm-hmm. You're not able to come down for 10 on this War Chariot if he wants. This Banner student, though, able to deal 3 damage whenever that wants to get clicked. And no easy way to deal with that. You really don't want to play this Bear Witcher in hand if you're PrimeVillain and break your Quen for later. You've already used all of your leader. You're effectively committing your Quen by playing this bronze in your hand. Dancing Star is not playing for great value. Here's the Junod. It gets ahead by 5, but there's still that bleed. PB's able to just play a bronze and get ahead here.
It's awkward for both players, but if PrimeVillain wins on even, at least... Oh, it plays into the... I guess it doesn't really play into the Fowler Bomb too much. Maybe it just means the City Guard might be cleaned up by Fowler Bomb plus Bear Witcher, though. Again, like, obviously you don't want to commit the Bear Witcher because of the Quen situation, but ultimately you don't want to pass. You've committed your full leader at this point.
Yeah.
The Totem, the Junod, you're kind of just all in. And looking at PB's hand, it's going to be a tight one, but the card quality is certainly in the favour of PrimeVillain, but he has committed his full leader, and essentially, as you say, if he does play the Bear Witcher, the Quen has also been committed, because it's just going to be mulliganed.
There is the Royal Guard. Getting ahead again between the point from the bleed and the point from the City Guard. Still has 4 damage on this Bannered student. He can cash out whenever. Might hold that one more turn as he's not worried about playing the Kodkadak as well. Just depends if he thinks the Bannered student click is going to prevent PrimeVillain from being able to get ahead in another card. PBLead just looking for a pass.
That's kind of slipped my attention, but the Xiaoma is just 3 points at the moment. There is no cards in the graveyard for PrimeVillain. So PB's going to have to make sure he's careful with the Bannard. He can kill the Bear Witcher with the Bannard student in the next turn if he decides to do that. But that would, of course, set up the Xiaoma. So he's going to need to target the Junod. It's going to be very, very important, I think, if he wants to win this round.
Mm-hmm. Bear Witcher or Hjalmar. Those are the options. Neither feels very good. One's playing for 3, one's making one of your most powerful gold play for 2 later on. Does he...
It's all gone a bit pear-shaped. This is the problem with not drawing Portal. Like, you take the line to try and win uneven. With a Portal, this would have gone a lot more smoothly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Without it, though, it's turned really, really bad. Especially when you're not playing Nagurd, you've got Gremist instead, so your Quen is just not even an option. Of course, Quen into Gremist isn't ideal, but you're now just wasting this 10th vision card. And here does come the Bear Witcher.
After the full rope, decides to play the Bear Witcher. Now, if there's Kodkadak... I guess Kodkadak plus Rat of his Royal Guard just works.
Devastating for PrimeVillain. He would have been hoping the last card was something like Shani, Gerhart, along those lines of Araxus. It's tragic, isn't it, really?
Enough. Oh no. There's a portal and nothing else. This Quen is not real value. I guess there's a Hernkaduk and some Megascopes. There's no leader charges for the Greatsword. It's gonna be really hard to get those to do anything. Does find the portal at least.
Is the second assault here, so not a free bleed for PB where you can just trade as assault for portal. Remis is the deck for PrimeVillain and go into round number 3. PB, Shani in hand. Of course, a very, very patient Banard student waiting as well with a leader charge can put in a lot of damage very, very quickly. So patience 5.
Hubert going back in.
Mulligan Gwent.
Yeah, it's not doing anything. Finds a greatsword. The boiling oil did get kicked, so the greatsword might live a turn. And then I guess Avalok Sage wants to be Hernkaduk. So it doesn't even matter that much.
Yeah, lots of golds missed for the NR player with Iron Sace, and Gerhardt's still stuck in the deck. However, PrimeVillain also not missing his Quen, he just bricked it. The Portal Fish Flapper's coming in to open things up. 2 leader charges also available for PB, remember, so one is going to be used, I would imagine, on the Banard, and then maybe just back rowing this for access to get that extra formation point. Seems like the way to go with the leader charges here.
Yeah, that
Hubert's
graveyard.
still in the deck as well, on a timer of 2.
That graveyard Banard student with the patience at 5. 14-point Shani on deploy. I guess that's a way that the greatsword's gonna die. Who needs the boiling oil? What's in the amphibious assaults?
PB showing the frustration with the emote here. I haven't got all day, he says. I always do enjoy seeing emotes when I'm in the caster client. I wish I could do my own as a commentator. Give me a few commentator emotes. Join in on the fun. Are you much of an emoter trying that?
Pretty much never. Maybe like once every other week I'll give a good emote, but it needs to be something special. There's Radovid's Royal Guards coming down at 9.
That was PrimeVillain with the emote, my apologies, but yeah. PB obviously did it in the last game, so a little bit of friendly banter between the two gamers.
Heatwave could be taken here. It's effectively 11 on the Heatwave. Not sure that that's getting better realistically. No greatsword in the graveyard, I believe, so can't Hjalmar that. Yeah, Heatwave just comes down, deals with that amphibious assault pool. Portal ticks down one more turn. And that fish flapper is gonna come out next turn. Bring Prime up to 14 points on board. PB has yet to begin with his pretty scary Shani Varaxis combo.
Yeah, especially with the casting contest available as well, can really just double dip on this patience.
Yeah.
But up to just 10 removal in the turn if you leave the Banard on the board. But you'd imagine it's just going to be used straight away. And there is the Marine pulling the Hubert. With Heatwave gone as well, this Varaxis is just nailed onto Shani for the Banard.
Yeah, with no great sword in graveyard. Okay, I guess this is just the Varaxis turn. Varaxis the Shani kill the greatsword.
So Silverblade Trainer has asked why keep the bomb if Maddock was locked in round 1. So the Maddock was locked in round 1.
Tradition be done. I will take lovely Ildiko as my wife.
Yeah, it doesn't stay locked after it goes to the graveyard.
Not sure why that is, to be honest.
Just units lose statuses when they change zones.
Yeah, it would be kind of unfair, right, if you've got a poisoned unit and you try and res it, stuff like that.
Yep. So they're just playing the Varaxis on the ranged row and sitting on it.
Yeah,
Choosing
Hjalmar's
to
got
not.
8 removal. No greatsword threat, so the leader charge does just allow PB to hold the Varaxis without using it. Same thing with the Shani. The Shani's out of the range of the Hjalmar, so there's no greatswords in the graveyard available.
Yep. Here comes the Sage, gets the Heron Kaduk. Bear Witcher. Threatened to put something into Hjalmar range. Yep. Varaxis down to 6. Can protect this with Karak Marine. Hjalmar is able. Just do it with the casting contest, sure. Hjalmar plenty able to deal 6. Just with no greatsword in the graveyard, these 9s and 10s are pretty safe.
I must say, I was looking forward to the casting contest on the Merlin, but my dreams have been crushed with that play.
Hjalmar coming down, not killing the Shani, 1 damage short. Got Winch.
The Winch as well.
No way to kill this yet either. And by waiting on this
Winch
Varaxis,
combo.
get to use the Shani a couple more times. Res the Bannered Student, res, I guess, the Radovid's Royal Guards? Karak City Guard. Here's Dancing Star. Here's Karak Marine. Shani, Varaxis. And, Blue
Leave the player
wins
just
the game.
wanting to let their player finish with their big finish. But we go to game 3. EB still has his White Frost deck. So this is going to be the last game we cast today, I do believe.
Yup.
The 4th game of the Swiss. There's going to be more tomorrow.
White Frost
for the
against
Invitational.
Reckless Flurry. I
Nice.
gotta imagine that all the great swords and the Bear Witcher Adept armor is a nightmare for White Frost to try to work through.
Yeah, there's got to be. I think this is like one of the ones though where the non-devotion deck would be worse. Like this devotion deck, at least you've got the points of the Oberon, the Conquerors, so you've got like your own point Sam things.
True.
The double Foglet, not going to be looking too hot, I would imagine. I still think this Caranthia is very, very awkward as well for PB, but round 1's going to be very important. Like if I can't think who's on what coin. I imagine Flurry's going first though. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because the NR
So
was
that's-
queued on blue.
That's a big deal as well. If this matchup was on the other side of the coin, I would definitely be fancying SK. But if PB can do some shenanigans in round 1 and apply a lot of pressure, it could prove to be a hard situation for the Skellige player. Blue coin SK can always prove to be quite awkward.
True. Just waiting on the players to get in the game. We should be getting started any second on our last game of day 1 of the Swiss of the TLG Invitational, brought to you by Advanced.gg. Gwent's best gamer fuel brand.
Hi Rashid, lovely to see you. Thank you for always being so positive. Just waiting for the players. I have clicked, I promise. It's not me, chat. It's not me.
Yep.
Here we go. Hi, Tokran. Yeah, we actually did see we saw a Square Tail mirror matchup, believe it or not. Even, which is quite exciting. This is the last game of the day. We're going to be watching PB versus PrimeVillain. It's 1-1. It's just a best of 3. The winner of this is going to be 3-1 going into day 2. So big game. The difference between 3-1 and 2-2. So it comes down to this. And PrimeVillain has the Maxi, which is a nice proactive option. Also the Gremist does give him that nice, decent-ish proactive play. It's not obviously playing that well for its provision cost, but it's an extra proactive option. And for PB, as we look at the Maxi here,
It's a lot of bombs.
yeah.
It's what, all but one of them? He just has a Dancing Star in his deck? Could be worse. I mean, this isn't a matchup where the Magic's gonna get interacted with, right? There's no, no Wileys in this list.
I think PB would love an Algafar's crew to open here. Although it does give some value to the
Just get
removal.
bombed. Yeah.
Ardgaith could just get its value by being uninteractive. Of course, Red Ride is also an option from Gales. The value of uninteractivity in this White Frost deck, definitely something you can make use of.
Yep.
Instead, opens up with a Phantom, ticking that engine along. It's not that easy to answer a Phantom, but a Leader Charge plus a Junod would do it, as would a Leader Charge and a Dancing Star or any of the other bombs.
Ooh, Matic going to the right row. That's what you want to see.
I think with Maddock, like spawning on this row, you're kind of less inclined to use a Leader Charge. If he spawns in the back row, you might be like, I'll just finish this Phantom off, but no Heat Wave, there's no Cyprian Wily, no Northern Winds. The Maddock is going to be here to stay, and of course, Monster's Devotion doesn't have access to a lock either. So Maddock going to be playing for a lot of points in this match here. And it's also, this Witch Apprentice is going to probably have a very, very tough time finding the Sabbath it's looking for, but that is the Leader Charge. I like the commitment of the Leader Charge, and also using the Phantom on the Maddock. Switching it off, but of course knowing that a Dancing Star would swiftly answer it, especially with the placement of the Foglet as well.
Yep. With the Ardgate able to buff up that Foglet by a bunch as well. Probably not too worried about this Ancient Foglet getting answered over multiple turns. And we do just see the Dancing Star come down. Matic not quite behaving this time, going into the ranged row.
He's going to save a bit of value on Frost though, so not too bad. Oh, it's not. Frost hits the tallest unit. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. My brain is programmed differently.
Yup. It took a while to get used to, for sure. I think I've come around on Frost being highest unit, but I still think that Fog is also highest unit, just because I don't see Fog often enough.
Yeah.
Back.
I would love to see Rain get a bit of love, maybe like Ignore Armor, just because it's like the SK specific one. Kind of fit with the theme of like Reckless Flurry. Also, like the Tears of Siren card as it stands is just not really cutting it, but if you've got that like extra thing, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I can see that. Winter Queen coming out onto the ranged row, right into the Matic. Gonna give that Greatsword a bit of survivability. 11-9. Gotta imagine that PrimeVillain not too sad if PB passes. I'm sure the long round is just fine for him. Still having Portal to absorb Frost in round 3. And this Greatsword absorbing Frost in round 1.
Yep. PB, remember, does have the Witch Apprentice in hand for the Sabbath, if that is ever relevant. Gales is just going to be playing Red Riders, which can apply 4 total weather, 2 to each row, which is going to buff the Foglet up as well. So Windscreen in Devotion is going to be triggered. True. Thrive getting those extra points in. And, yeah, as the Frost ticks away, of course the Magic Lamp. You don't want to flip this Magic Lamp into the Frost, so the Ardgaith, while it's not really doing that much, it is also just denying PrimeVillain, trying to tempo out with this Magic Lamp.
Yeah, of course. PrimeVillain still with a bunch of bombs in hand, sort of working out given this Greatsword's position of just trying to absorb Frost. Greatsword up to 6. Matic gonna grow it by 2 more when that gets clicked by damaging the Winter Queen. Ooh, see the Greatsword even moved to the melee row. Oh, and if the Winter Queen thrive, the Matic gets to deal an extra point of damage. And the Matic absorbs the weather!
Matic is just smurfing, mate. What a card.
He hasn't even played his... Yeah. He hasn't even played his card to absorb weather.
Well.
Yeah. Doing so much.
Having said that, he's still down by an awful lot of points. Could we see some leader charges being committed here? Magic again, just going to be tanking even more value from the weather. Now, PB does have a pass.
This will be card advantage. But does he think that he can go into the long round against this Reckless Flurry deck? He's mousing over stuff in his hands, trying to see if there's anything he wants to play. Witch Apprentice not currently online. Going for the Cave Troll. This does turn on the Witch Apprentice, 23-16. Does mean there's not going to be a Cave Troll for round 3, though.
Now, this Junod could be pretty humongous. You're going to take a leader charge, which is going to be buffing your Greatsword up to 9. The Junod could clean up the Cave Troll if things go perfectly. If things go even better, you could also kill the Foglet!
That's still good. That's still good. Junod's gonna get ahead here. Plus 12. 23-14, and all of a sudden, PBLead is not happy.
And this Gales can pull Red Riders, but Gales is going to be played in the back row, giving this Madik yet more value. Just not having the answer to the Madik, you can see how devastating it is and why so many people play the Northern Winds in their SK decks to answer their opponents. They respect it enough to lock, and we go for the Nalgafar, finding Oberon and Unseen Elder, a huge commitment from PB here.
Where's the random bleed gonna go? Onto the Matic! 20-21. PrimeVillain still not able to get a pass.
Yeah, the devotion ability of Unseen Elder coming in clutch here for PB. Because the bleeding from the Junod is going to trickle down on both his turn, but also while this Unseen Elder is alive, the bleeding will be triggered at the end of PB's turn, and therefore the bomb comes in. Madik is back. He's here. The Grandmist as well is going to find some value denying the bleeds from the Unseen Elder, but the Totem as well being the second to last card does mean that's going to need to be played if he wants to click it.
Who needs to click Totem when Unseen Elder can just bleed them?
Very true. Very true.
Matic jumping out to the right row, threatening this Elder. Potentially doing some damage to buff up the Greatsword should that receive the bleed. Here we got PB using Corinthier onto Witch Apprentice at 21 points on the row. Well,
this Corinthier has been terrible. Both times
bad.
we've seen it, I've not been impressed, and Madik click here could kill the Unseen Elder and the Witch Apprentice, or the Foglet, the Witch Apprentice. I would... will the Witch Apprentice survive? This could be huge!
Ooh.
It survives.
Okay.
However...
still can't play the Witch Apprentice to have Sabbath.
Not sure this is the perfect deck for the Witch Apprentice. I can see why PB's gone for it, but in this particular matchup, with so much damage from your opponent, and let's not forget, PrimeVillain still has 2 leader charges available, but the Red Riders spread. It's going to spread PrimeVillain's cheeks a little bit as the rows are split, and the Foglet is also going to get buffed by 4 points.
Yeah, unfortunately can't play the Gills on melee to get Sabbath going. Card is range locked. There's the pig.
Wait.
You could leader charge to get to 25? That does it. That does it.
Well, that should be the round. PB wins on even. He has Oberon on top of his deck as well.
True. That is big. It is big. Guaranteed to draw
we'll
into
have the Ardgaith too. So he could mulligan Ardgaith, play it from Gales. Has a lot of points, for sure. If he wants to just go for the 2-0, it could be quite devastating.
Yeah. Sort of all worked out. But PrimeVillain's still got a lot of quality left as well, with that Quen with both Bear Witches in deck, still has the Avalok, still has the Portal. Portal just backbreaking in this matchup. Still has another Greatsword to combine with those leader charges and some Megascopes. think even after this win on even, that is not quite over yet. Let's see what these players are able to pick up. As you said, we do know that Oberon and Ardgith are on top of this monsters deck. Wow.
Is that
Wow.
legal?
Nope. But, I guess it happened.
My memory's so terrible, I don't remember what Maxi showed us for the SK player. But either the top decks were looking beautiful, or Maxi has just been putting in some serious work here. That's a hand.
Yep.
I still have 2 mulligans available as well.
What are you even looking for? I guess Opalok Sage. There's just so many good cards still in this deck. I guess that's what happens when your round 1 hand has 5 bombs.
Up to PB, how this goes, of course. Oberon, in round number 2, isn't going to be getting that devotion payoff. But realistically, he probably isn't going to be sticking around for too long. And PrimeVillain didn't make his hand too good. He kept a great sword, which he can dump down. Now 2 great swords in the graveyard. Hjalmar more than ready to go.
Here we go. 6 cards versus 7 cards. Last round of the last game of day 1. PrimeVillain versus PBLead. Bit worse hand there as he picks up a couple of his adepts. Thankfully enough mulligans to fix the hand, but
PB risks the rider, I think. Finds the Eridin. Honestly, I was really hoping he would mulligan the rider and we'd see Oberon into triple riders. Something about that just feels so satisfying. My only fond memory I have of playing draft mode was playing like Oberon into 7 riders.
There was some wacky stuff with some of those bronze setting packages. Well, there's the portal. The armor begins. And there's some matchups where this portal into Bear Witcher Adept is just so good. Not only is it a 14-point portal, but you're also just getting a point per turn. What are you supposed to do?
PB, we're also seeing the downside here of Ardgate. Like, you got the great value from it round 1, but like sometimes you just have too much frost when your Taskmasters, are they called? The Nalgfast crew, I beg your pardon, the Eridin as well. You've also got the Foglet that you want to get down, the Oberon. All these things kind of just compete quite heavily, and then you come through with an Ardgate, which is just maybe not the most spectacular. Having said that, it still did play for quite a lot of points in round 1.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're playing it on your last turn and you're getting no value on the Ardgith, you're still buffing your Ancient Foglet by 6. That's something.
PrimeVillain just stacking this back row with his totem, with his fish flappers. PB doesn't have dominance. Oberon, Eridin as well, obviously going to be adding points to the frost. There's no answer for PrimeVillain. He does, of course, have Heatwave, Hjalmar, but they are stuck very much in the deck, so PB's probably going to be trying to play around those cards. Little does he know, it's best for him to just go for it. Don't play around the cards. Don't respect them.
Let's see. He's mousing over the Oberon. Bunch of things that he wants to get down. Oberon makes his other Wild Hunts better. Naglfar's crew is gonna be opposite to a Frost for the whole round. And Eridin here makes this Frost tick for a little bit more damage. Not sure how relevant this ends up being into the portal, but you can, Megascope for one more fish flap or 2. It's probably better than trying to make a Bear Witcher. Leader charge plus Bear Witcher, not quite enough to take out this Eridin. Would need 1 more point of damage. Whole hand online for Prime. Looks like he's thinking about the Bear Witcher. Yep, Bear Witcher on the range row, continuing to play around that second row of Frost getting set up as that Adept pops out of the deck from Portal. That will be absorbing one turn of the Arid Frost as the other Adept grows back up to 6.
Yeah, Megascope now available as well on the Bear Witcher, which I think I always have a very hard time working out how many cards in a Gwent row. It doesn't come intuitively to me. I have to count every time.
Yeah, I agree. Don't know why that is. You would think you'd get used to it after a while and could just tell by sight, but for whatever reason, it's one of those things.
He does have 7 cards, so he's gonna be fine to play the Megascope in the back row and without it like filling up and not spawning anything, and then Taskmaster coming in to move the Bear Witcher before the Ardgaith comes in, so a little bit awkward on the not the Taskmaster, the Bruiser.
Bruiser, yeah. Taskmaster being the Purify, of course.
Yeah, it just still has a lot of engines. The Foglet, the Ardgaith, the Nalgafar's crew. And
Also,
it's going to be hoping for that dominance as well for the riders. It's going to be really important that he manages to get that.
Yeah, just has a lot of points. I don't know. I could definitely see PB just having enough here. +2 on his Wild Hunt units from the Frost and the Oberon. Nothing's dying here because the Hjalmar was missed. Here comes the Quen, playing into the melee row now, as you've already got that 5 there. A leader charge coming out, but not enough to take out the Oberon. Enough to yoink dominance for a turn, maybe? As you have that 8 in play.
Surely it's time for the Ardgaith. It has to be.
Yup. Ardgith now. Oh, nope. Going for Nagafar's crew first. I guess that's the same sort of idea. This way you get the 1 extra point on the crew.
Yeah, and of course PrimeVillain. His sequencing is... In fact, it's not forced because of the double save. Is it? I don't know. Could he have played the Megascope after the Dancing Star here?
I think he... So, he plays the Dancing Star, PB plays a card, he plays Megascope, PB plays a card, Megascope comes off, and then PB plays his last card. I think he could have delayed it, but I'm not sure what the rush necessarily is. This Aridin still doesn't have dominance, and I think you're just playing this for 3 in your Matic. But this Ancient Foglet gonna come down for 9, which will get dominance back for the Wild Hunt Riders.
I have to tell you, Trina, I've opened up PB stream just so I can see the reaction of sheer bliss or utter disappointment, because this is the last game of the day. It's the perfect time to just got that last win, go into day 2 with that 3-1 record. You got to be very happy with yourself. We saw his loss, of course, against Gravesh, the Megascope, but the healing as well from the Fish Flappers. The Ancient Foglet. What's it gonna be?
It's not enough. 9 points.
The
10
2
points.
points though added to the rider because of the Frost and the Oberon. The Taskmaster's gonna tick, and PB doesn't have enough.
So close, but not able to overcome that nightmare of a matchup.
Of the delay.
Oh, winning on even, not enough to do it.
Oh, he looks good.
Oh no. So he's 2-2 now, right? Is 2-2 dead, or is that still live for Top Cut?